World Series, though. Right now, currently where we sit talking about it, it's 1-1. I thought that first game was electric with that pinch hit home run by Barger. Was it a grand slam? I think I just misspoke. Yeah, the
Yeah, the
pinch hit
first
grand
ever
slam.
first ever pinch hit grand slam in World Series history, I believe.
Yeah, that ball, he was all over that thing. Breaking ball, left, too. I thought it was a really, really impressive swing. But hey, they're pushing the Dodgers more than the Brewers did, so hopefully we continue to get a good series, and I'll be watching that. I know Monday night is Game 3 here, so definitely be tuning in. But yeah, tough weekend of NFL. Penn State, anything happening there, Tyler, yet that you're hearing? Is there any new news coming across?
No, I mean I think they're narrowing down their list of guys. I'm not gonna break any news or anything on this podcast, but I don't think anything's gonna get done until like Thanksgiving weekend. Obviously, they can't hire anybody else's coach until then, so it's gonna be pretty quiet. The crazy thing is like we were kind of talking before you hopped on, Drew. Just all these jobs that are gonna open, like
Yes.
Lane Kiffin's name's been thrown out for a bunch of jobs, but like, okay, say he leaves for a Florida or an LSU, that means Ole Miss is now open. Auburn's probably going to come open. Wisconsin's probably going to come open. Florida State might still even come open. So there's a ton of dominoes still
Yeah,
left to fall.
the
It's going
coaching
to get crazy.
carousel. Yeah.
Yeah,
I am just blown away by Indiana.
yeah.
I don't really get into college football that much, but I mean, what they did to UCLA. UCLA was what 3-0 since they made that change. Like I said, I don't follow it too much, and they just took care of business. It looked like that place was packed too at IU, which is really cool to see because I know they have not been a football program powerhouse tradition in the past. But yeah, that's kind of what I was eyeing. Obviously, the Tony Vitello news, Gavin. I don't know if you want to get into that.
Yeah, no, I just before we to get into that, I just the buyouts with these college football coaches is insane. I don't know much about like the contracts or anything behind like the coaching aspect of it, I guess, and why they have these big buyouts or why they don't or whatever it may be. But Brian Kelly's was like apparently 54 million at LSU. It's insane to me, like how these schools are paying for it. I know like Penn State apparently had a donor that was saying that they were going to pay for James Franklin's, but these coaches are like making out like crazy for not maybe being as successful as they had originally wanted to be. Like it's just crazy to me that that's what they're getting for not being good, I guess.
Well,
Tyler,
the
you
thing
probably have all the news here. How long was Brian Kelly there? 2 or 3 years?
for 4 years,
Okay, it was four,
4 years.
and he had a 10-year deal.
Yeah, and like the other thing is like they have all these like mitigate clauses, which means like these guys have to go look for another job. Like Franklin has to go look for another job, whether or not he gets a job. Like so say okay, James Franklin's buyout was 49 million. Say he becomes a head coach at North Carolina next year, and they're gonna pay him 12 million a year. That means like they only owe him that'd be like 37 million. Same with Brian Kelly. I want to say he has an offset or like duty to mitigate clause. So like if he wants to go find another job, like LSU's not on the hook for all of that money, I believe. But that's really a piece of it is like all the there's so many like clauses and like I don't know, man. Like you want to pay me $50 million to just not work again if I'm Brian Kelly, like okay. Like
It's
why
wild.
would you why would you even coach again? Like I don't know. I don't know. These guys are
And
like alpha mentality, so I get it and they don't want to go out that way, but man, $50 million and I have to deal with all the stress of being a power four head coach in today's college football. I don't know, man. Doesn't seem like that bad of a gig.
and they don't have to look for a coaching job, right? Like they could get a job at with game day, right? And that would be
Depends.
included.
Like Franklin can do either or. He has to look for either
Uh,
a media job or a coaching job. So like he
Gotcha.
doesn't have to coach, but like if he went on, Big Noon or College Game Day next year, like Penn State would just pay him the difference of whatever he's making
Yeah.
with one of those networks. It's crazy. It really is.
Talk about like the trickle down effect of if Ole Miss opens, if Lane Kiffin takes a job. Like to me, it's wild when these jobs open up, And the schools like in Indiana are going to pay Kurt Signetti. Like these coaches that are in a good position in their colleges, because these other schools aren't succeeding, they're going to get taken care of because that school doesn't want to lose them. So it's a win-win almost for if you have a decent program going on, like you've got it made, it seems like. And if the fan base turns on you in 2 years, you still have it made. As long as you have a good agent and you're getting that contract worked out the way you should. Oh man, those guys! It's wild the amount of money in college football, in all of college athletics now. But football runs the show.
The athletic director, I don't know if you guys saw this. The athletic director that hired Brian Kelly is the same one that hired Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. So Texas A&M, that was on record. That's the largest buyout ever to fire a coach was Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. Brian Kelly's now number 2. And the combined buyout total is like $128 million between the two coaches to fire them. And this AD at LSU is the one who's hired both those guys. So kind of crazy. I don't know if they're gonna let this guy make the next hire, but I don't know.
Well, who even makes the hires now? Anyway, is it the boosters, the guys that are giving all the money? Is
Depends
it
on the school,
I'm sure
probably.
It's a dynamic that's ever changing.
Yeah.
But I was hearing something about the LSU, like they didn't fire him immediately because LSU wasn't going to pony up all the money. So they brought in the governor.
Because they don't have a president. So that's
I can't even comprehend that.
Yeah.
But taxpayer money, I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but it's
Can you imagine?
It's wild, and I think it was pretty wild in the college baseball landscape last week and the last 2 weeks with this Tony V news and what was he going to do and the trickle-down effect of that. And yeah, Gab, he ends up taking the Giants job.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is kind of what we had talked about. But kind of speaking on the buyouts, it's kind of crazy how different it seems like it might be with football and baseball because Tony Vitello is the best coach in the country, probably one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid. And wasn't his buyout $3 million, which is still obviously a lot of money. But comparatively to these football coaches, it's a lot different.
Yeah, he was second highest paid, I believe, and it was only $3 million.
I mean, football funds colleges. It's what makes the universities run. So you're probably always going to have that type of pay discrepancy between the coaches. I mean, maybe depending on the school, maybe there's an awesome what do they call it now, group of 6 baseball program out there that doesn't have a great football program. It might be different, but I mean, the football salaries it's what makes the colleges operate, keeps the lights on.
And even college baseball salaries are still good. You say Tony V making $3 million, it was never that way 10 years ago. If a guy was making $1 million, he was one of the most, highest paid coaches. So, salaries across all college, athletics have been going up, and just the implementation of adding an assistant coach, to college baseball, a paid assistant, is a huge thing. So, you can look at it many ways, maybe they just chose the wrong sport to coach. But no, those baseball coaches are getting taken care of much more than they ever have.
Yeah, but Tennessee they announced, I think it was on Saturday, that Josh Elander, their assistant coach and recruiting coordinator, is going to be their new head coach. And the video of the AD announcing that to the team, it was pretty awesome. We were kind of talking about it beforehand. They were all super pumped, and I think maybe the decision behind it, they knew that this would hopefully keep some of their commits, because it sounds like now, at least from what we've seen on Twitter, most of these kids are saying hey, I'm staying. This is my coach. I'm all in on Tennessee now, which for them is obviously really good because they had probably one of the best, if not the best, recruiting class for the next couple of years.
Yeah, it gave me kind of me and Tyler were talking about the Marcus Freeman announcement video vibes. The kids clearly wanted him. It would have been a huge miss if they didn't go with him. That would have been a mass decommitment, I feel like, from a lot of those kids. But yeah, it's been really cool to see the love he's gotten. Just from local Illinois kids like the Tome Appenzeller, they were tweeting about it, and then I don't know, it's just cool to see that love. Losing someone like Tony V is obviously really tough, but clearly the kids like him, and it seems like he's kind of a guy. He was the associate head coach, actually. He's been the associate head coach for a couple of years now. But Dane, we were talking about the videos floating around of him being a TCU legend. Like, that dude was a beast. And so he can kind of like, to have your coach be a stud like that, and you can go like watch video of your coach and be like, holy crap, he was kind of a guy. I think that can kind of help relate to the kids a little bit. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's not the best way of explaining it, but I feel like, you know, the kids clearly gravitate to him. He's a younger guy, fun guy. So I think, you know, Tennessee will continue to be kind of what they've been.
Everybody has a different style. So like, I would not expect, you know, Josh Elander to be, you know, the next Tony Vitello, but clearly players loved him. Their offenses were always really good. He, you know, was a huge integral part of their offense, and he was a huge part of the recruiting, building relationships, getting these guys on campus, having those phone calls. Like, yeah, I'm sure Tony Vitello's that guy. When you bring him on campus, you walk him around, you take the campus tour, you bring him into Tony's office, Tony seals the deal, right? But Josh is the one building and cultivating those relationships, and it's good for Tennessee. It keeps the continuity. They've, you know, what they've done to that program, making them a national, one of the top, I don't know, 5 to 10 jobs in the country. It's obviously huge, you know, like what you guys were saying, getting those commits to all buy in and say, yeah, we're coming there. I was curious with when they opened it up and how it was open for like 2 days. And they had their national search, and then boom, it was Elander. Like, I know they interviewed a couple guys. They interviewed Coach Elander. I would love to know, like, what that was about. Like, did they have to do that? Like, is that part of the bylaws? You know, by naming Frank Anderson the interim, did that then make it easier to hire Josh? I really have no idea, but to me, that was really curious, like how quickly it was open and how quickly it was closed. And hey, any of the kind of unknown out there, like they kind of shored that up in a hurry. So that was just some intriguing parts that I had to it.
Yeah, one interesting thing that I noticed about it, which is a super small and even like silly thing about it, was I've always known and recognized Josh for his beard, right? Like, just
yes,
always the picture of him at third base with the helmet and the beard. He shaved for that interview. I think that showed, like, obviously all the kids really wanted him, but it just showed, like, hey guys, like, I mean business. Like, I'm not gonna expect you to hand me this job. Like, I want to have a proper interview and do this the right way. So that stood out to me. I thought it was pretty cool.
I speaking of like the whole interim head coach putting Frank Anderson as interim for 2 days or whatever it was, they had also announced that they wanted Elander to be like a top candidate for next year, which I thought was like interesting that they had said that. And then obviously 2 days later he became the head coach. But they mentioned, I feel like in the speech to the team, the AD, that they had interviewed a few guys. So I'd be curious who they actually interviewed for that job, if they even did, or if that was just something they said. I don't know. But it would be interesting who else got that interview.
Yeah, the only one I heard of was Coastal Carolina and Coach Schnall over there, which makes a ton of sense. That guy seems like an up-and-coming star and has been huge for that Coastal Carolina program. But yeah, I don't know. I know there were a lot of names tossed around. But yeah, we'll see. Kind of time will tell with Tennessee and what they do. But another part of it is Tennessee loses their head coach. Coach Elander now goes from recruiting coordinator, associate head coach to head coach. Who bumps up? Who bumps up in their staff? Do they bring a guy in? I don't know if they've already named somebody. I don't know if they had a volunteer that they've been kind of cultivating this, for the next step. But I would love to hear, like, who is going to be the recruiting coordinator? Does Josh Reynolds' job change there at all? He was on our podcast last year. He had just come to Tennessee from Cincinnati. Like, what does his stay the same? Does everybody, stay in place in Tennessee? Do they bring an outsider in? And then, did anybody go with Tony to the Giants, or was it just Tony? I'm guessing the Giants have a full clubhouse staff on hand. Did Tony have a say in anybody else that was going to be, with him on the bench? I don't know those answers. I haven't heard anything on that, but I would be curious, because being a head coach is very different than being a recruiting coordinator. Coach Elander's not going to be able to be on the road probably nearly as much as he was before. All the stuff that being a head coach forces you to stay on campus, whether it's, head coach meetings on campus, or just being around for recruits that come in. It'll be very, very interesting.
I thought it was really interesting seeing all the former players rally behind Elander on Twitter. I'm forgetting some names, but a lot of big names that were vital to their success over the past few years were really hammering that Elander was the guy on Twitter. So I thought that was a really cool part of it as well.
It seemed almost like the outpouring was, how do you not give it to the guy? Like, if he has this many people that have been in the program talking him up, it seemed like they made the right choice. And I agree, Dane. Was one of them like Christian Moore, maybe the second baseman that hit a bunch of home runs? I could be getting the name wrong. Right-handed bat, though. He tore it up a couple years ago. But yeah, clearly people like that guy. And he can coach, he can recruit, and now we'll see if he can, handle the game situations that come up with being a head coach. Like, having a pulse on your team is huge. But then all the little things with handling a bullpen, over a conference weekend, and then the midweeks, and when to pinch hit, different game situations that, he's probably in Tony's ear about, hey, this is who I want to pinch hit, this is what I do. But when you're the guy that has to make those decisions, it all comes down on you. It is a different beast, and some guys will flourish in that, and some guys necessarily aren't the best at that. But to me, that's what makes the best head coaches. He can clearly relate to players. Now it's how can he handle the game situations and the whole 56 game kind of grind that goes with it.
I saw even like one of the volleys was like tweeting about it. So to have like support within your own staff and like publicly, letting that be known is really cool, and just proves even more that like that was their guy all along.